society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
Man or woman who hates communism the most, that is to say, the man or woman who knows the least about communism, is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
We're going to see about stopping, regardless of what these people think we should do. Because school is not important, and work is not important. Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all.
Yo. Welcome to the Forest Pod, the best podcast about geopolitics around. This is Comrade Villain, and I'm here with
Pretty Bad Comrade,
my partner in crime. We are going to talk about Charlie Kirk today. A lot of shit to talk about. Couldn't really decide how I wanted to do this. I've been trying to figure it out for like the last couple of days. But I have kind of an idea. Before we dive into Kirk, though, I want to start it off with something light, something funny, because it's probably going to get serious. So I'm going to play the last 30 seconds of Ninja, the first song off Young Thug's new album, and then you can tell me your reaction real quick.
Wasn't prepared for this.
I'm not playing that shit.
Oh.
Hold on, speak into the mic real quick.
Yo. How my levels, man? Check.
There
Check
we go.
1, 2.
That's better.
Yeah, turn me up. Turn my mic up.
What do you think about that shit, man?
What? Young Thugs?
Thugger.
Man, I mean, I just saw the clip that was on Twitter and that we
listen
posted
to
on
it?
Discord. I didn't listen to the whole song.
Well, you listened to the last 30 seconds. Everybody's clipping, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's all I listened to.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't. Like I said on Discord, people do some weird shit when they lose a bad bitch. You know,
Fumble a bad bitch.
Yeah.
Look at Kanye.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Of course,
It was interesting.
DJ was like comparing it to Dave Blunt's. I
I
don't know what his deal
understand.
with Dave Blunt's, man. He
Well,
loves Dave Blunt's.
Does he ever like just send you random videos of just like people who are like mentally retarded, I guess, or slow?
I told him to stop sending me that
or
shit.
like disfigured, or like, and it's just like he just thinks they're funny because they exist, and I think he thinks Dave Blunt is funny because he exists.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is.
It's like a morbid curiosity thing.
Yeah,
But
special mind.
I told Van not to listen to it, and then we live streamed it, and then I got his reaction live. That was cool.
Oh, okay.
I got Lee's reaction live, and my reaction is I can't play that song because you know I don't have a problem rapping lyrics, but like I can't do that one. And like I'm not gonna like listen to the first part of the song and cut it off as soon as that part starts.
Right.
I guess I just can't listen to that song. But it's very, I don't know, man. The album cover was him, white.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. He always likes attention, so it doesn't surprise me that much.
I saw he was giving like a free concert, like in front of some building or something, some random.
Hell yeah, Thugs for the Kids, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool.
Might be part of his probation, I don't know. Or parole. But all right, so I'm gonna start with the
Community
real
service, does that count?
Yeah, that's definitely community service.
Free concerts.
I'm gonna start with this clip you sent me about Trump at the UN.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that? Okay.
Kind of. This is just, it's almost like a Curb Your Enthusiasm clip. I don't know what, but let's listen to this real quick because he said some wild shit.
The teleprompter is not working, and whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything.
What?
And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists. And they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. We have a border, strong, and we have a shape. And that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough, it blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air up here tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean. Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity.
Oh, I could have predicted that. Man, the way he said Nobel Peace Prize, like, just the way he speaks, man. It's still funny, even though it's awful.
Yeah, it's entertaining. I mean, I give that to him.
I should have a bunch of clips now from the Pete Hegseth meetup.
Oh, yeah. That was
He's
at
about
Quantico.
to roll in, and I was at Quantico.
Yeah.
And liberate, what do you say, San Francisco, New York, Chicago.
Memphis.
Was it Memphis?
I don't know. I didn't see the clip.
I think he's at Miami. They were big
okay.
cities. And then, like, one at a time, we're going to do it. I thought that's what the meeting was going to be about. It's like, we're about to roll into Chicago, or we've had enough of those cartels, about to just rolling into Mexico. But instead, it was just like a pep rally for Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, and they're getting rid of all the
DEI
DEI stuff and
that was actually
harassment school, hazing school again.
Yeah, look, I've always been on record as a fan of bullying. I feel like we're too coddled. Should get bullied more, make us stronger. But no, I've heard some of the generals like that's going to cause a huge problem. Of course, it is with the hazing. The DEI shit. One of the things was about women not being physically fit. Mm-hmm. The only thing that kind of makes sense is like there was a bill under Biden, I want to say 2021, that was opened up all positions to females, but they still have to pass the exact same test as men. So like that's not a thing. And again, I don't know, man. They make up a fake boogeyman. But it was Trump told everybody if they don't get in line, you're going to get fired. There's no more overweight or I don't know, I guess not well groomed officers. They get fired. So about to tighten up the ship. Who thought it would happen so quick?
What?
Fascism.
Has it been quick?
It's rolling in pretty quick.
I mean, I feel like it's the last 20 years or so. Remember that clip I played of George Carlin, calling the Bush administration fascist?
That's true.
I think we been on this path, man.
Yeah. But even with 2016 Trump, it wasn't like this. This is like accelerated. But all right. So enough of the news. Let's get into this Charlie Kirk shit. How to approach this? What'd you know about Charlie Kirk before he got popped?
I knew he liked to debate college kids, and I had seen a lot of his videos online of him being on college campuses and talking,
like clipped up for Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, Twitter mainly, and But I had I watched. I told you I had watched the debate he did with Sam Cedar.
Right. Yep.
I watched that like
recently.
right after it happened, and I remember them talking about it on their show on the Majority Report.
When
and
they broke
everything.
it down.
Yeah,
I watched that video too.
and then I watched his debate with Breonna Joy Gray as well, which was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, I've been aware of Charlie Kirk for several years. He's just one of those right wing fixtures, kind of like a Ben Shapiro and that other guy, Steven Crowder, who's that other?
Oh yeah, Crowder,
the other debate me, bro. Yeah,
changed my mind.
Changed my mind, exactly. So he's
Okay.
one of those type dudes. Yep.
Yeah. Whenever I heard he got shot, I remember the first thing I thought was, excuse me, is that the guy from Turning Point USA? And then I was like, why do I know about Turning Point USA? And all I could remember, or what I thought, which I guess is kind of what they are, was like a right-wing think tank that pushes a conservative ideology. But I didn't really know, like, to me, it was just like another PragerU or another Heritage Foundation or
Right.
another whatever
That's
piece of
basically what
the
it is.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he instantly became a martyr, I didn't get it. I kind of got, like, of course, Trump and MAGA and the fascist people who try to use this, like a Horst Wessel, I think was that guy's name in Nazi Germany. I'm probably going to do a part 2 about this. I'm going to talk more about him, but just regular, I won't say regular, people that are like apolitical, they're kind of like Joe Rogan bros, but like not even, like they would consider themselves less of political than like a Joe Rogan. Like a few people that I know, they're like, no, I like Charlie Kirk. And I was like,
People have told you that?
yeah. I had a long discussion with somebody today about that shit.
Gross.
It was actually a pretty good conversation.
Okay.
And I started, this is why it was so hard for me to figure out how to do this episode. It's like, what? I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I'm going to start with, let me just play a little clip of him debating on campus like he does. And I'm going to get into that Turning Point USA and why he goes college campuses, all that. But I just want to start with him because that's what everybody is focused on right now. They're taking his quotes, either out of context, in context, whatever. Let's just start with shit that he said. And then I want to kind of talk about, at least with this clip, how he debates or phrases his shit. But this one is about the myth of separation of church and state. I don't know if you heard this before, but here you go.
So my question was about separation of church and state. So I know I did some research. I've researched your positions. I know you've come out and said you don't believe in the separation of church and state. And I'd like to ask you why, even though there's the non-establishment clause, freedom of religion, and then there's lawsuits in the, like historically, like Engel versus Vitale, that come out to say that church and state should be separated.
It's a fair question. So I don't believe in a national church.
Okay.
More importantly, let's forget church and state.
Okay.
Can we both agree there's no separation between morality and state?
I agree.
Okay.
It's just lawmaking.
That's cool. That's where I really live in. What I'm saying, though, is the church should influence that morality. That's what I mean by that. Because at some point, people are going to have to make a decision of what is good and what is bad, what is permissible and not permissible. And I think the church or Christianity should inform those decisions.
So, okay, I understand where you're coming from, and it's undeniable that there's been a heavy Christian influence on our nation, right? I think 55 out of 56 founding fathers.
Exactly.
As
You know my stuff.
I do. Yeah, I've looked
Good
at your
for you.
stuff. Yeah. But where I disagree is putting the 10 Commandments in classrooms, things like that.
Well, so let's pause on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm guessing you're not a Christian. That's okay.
I'm Hindu.
That's fine. So even as a Hindu, what moral objection to the 10 Commandments could there would you agree if everybody followed the 10 Commandments, better place to live?
So there's obviously commandments like thou shalt not kill. I mean, these are just moral standards.
Yeah,
that
but I
almost
think
everyone
in
follows.
Hindu philosophy, the only one that would be is, don't take any other gods before me, being
Right,
a
that's what I was
polytheistic
thinking.
faith,
Yeah.
right? Having no idols, that would violate Hinduism, right? But, I mean, honoring your father and mother, Hindus are pretty good with that, right?
We try.
Not coveting, right? Not stealing, not committing adultery. I imagine that's against Hindu religious teaching, right?
It is.
What I'm getting at is despite the monotheism that is embedded in the 10 Commandments, you can agree that it does have good external moral teaching, right? And that's what I'm getting at, is that I encourage anybody to show me a better book, a better teacher than the Bible to create good citizens.
The Constitution.
Well, does the Constitution morally teach us? The Constitution's a template, right?
I think, but is it the place of classrooms to tell children what their morals should be
Interesting
based off of
question.
a religious document?
Does in a classroom? This is a really important question you asked. If a kid is sitting in a desk, another kid, and he hits the other kid, should the teacher say that's wrong?
Yes.
The teacher's teaching morals.
Well-
if the kid goes and steals his lunch, is it for the teacher to say don't steal? If the kid goes around and starts harassing and bullying another kid, should the teacher say don't do that?
So, what do you do with that?
I don't know if I actually heard that clip.
So, there's a lot of clips similar to this. So, all right. The first thing, separation of church and state, he essentially was arguing because most of the founding fathers were Christian, even though they didn't put the Ten Commandments or very specific Christian wording in the Constitution. All of those laws and documents were written with morals, and those morals were influenced by Christianity. So ipso facto, we're a Christian nation.
Right.
Constitution is a template. So you can fudge it a little bit, but Christianity is what's important. I respect you. You're. Did he say? No, he never said where he was from. He just asked what religion. He just didn't do. But you can agree that, Ten Commandments, those are all good things, right? Like the way he talks and the way it is persuasive. And you can see how people will get very frustrated when they see clips of him speaking like this, and not to him, he's making a good argument. And is it a good argument? I mean, it's not a good argument, but if it is persuasive, is that good enough? I mean, I guess that's Lee Atwater school, and I'm going to play a clip of Lee Atwater here in a minute. But, and this kind of goes back to the Ezra and Ta-Nehisi Coates conversation. Like, Ezra is kind of on some shit of, I need to be out there, maybe doing something similar to this. But it's not a good faith argument that he's having. And the things, he said there should be no national religion. Okay, I agree with that, with church and state, but I'm a Christian, influenced, my morals, that's all this law stuff is. If I want to put 10 commandments in, that's all good. Like, it's very crazy how he slipped that shit in there. And also, 10 commandments, I don't think they're all moral just by default. He made a lot of assumptions about what's morally good. And I guess their justification would be, well, yeah, it's a Christian nation built on patriarchy and Western dominance and like Proud Boys type shit. Like, these are all good things. And they act like it's like an objective truth.
Right.
Like, I'm just talking about common sense shit right here. And this is like whenever he was debating Sam, and Sam was like, or he all his shit is like such surface level, like Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, and Sam, he didn't understand what those were. And Sam kind of broke it down for him, right. And he just moves past it, moves on to the next thing. The same type of thing Ben Shapiro does, the same type of thing all of these right-wing people do. So to me, again, there's nothing special about him, but I guess because he went to these college campuses, clipped it up, like Ta-Nehisi was saying, Kirk smashes somebody or destroys somebody.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that are not, I don't know, let's say they're not politically activated, but they are second rights or gun rights people, Second Amendment people, or a lot of it's going to be like probably religious, that he was way more popular with, I guess. So, all right, this is all me just trying to understand how he got turned into a martyr. So I kind of understand how it worked, like them capitalizing on it, doing some Goebbels shit, essentially, turning him into good propaganda. I get now why, because I've never really sat down and watched it. I never watched the Sam debate until this week.
Right.
But I get it. Anyways, moving on from that, I want to now get into some of these quotes that people are saying out of context. He's racist, whatever. I'm just going to play the quotes, and then we'll talk about it. And then I'm going to play what people consider the context of one of these quotes that they would say is taken out of context, and their argument as to why it's not racist. And then we'll break that down.
And just for the record,
yeah,
I don't think we should have the 10 Commandments in classrooms.
Fuck no. Absolutely not.
That's silly. Okay, go ahead.
Here we go.
Oh, it's funny. I used to say
that, hey, if you as a gay person would go to Gaza, they'd throw you off of tall buildings, right? Now they don't have any tall buildings left, so I don't...
When you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Is that too soon? I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't kill Jews, stupid Muslims.
Haha, genocide. Genocide's so funny.
Yeah. Like, it's hard for me. Like, again, with the Ta-Nehisi Coates interview, he was saying, like, there's certain things that are just, like, rude.
Right.
It's just like, that's rude, bro. Why would you say that? But on top of it, what he's actually talking about being a genocide is just like, he is like the perfect, I don't know, what's the avatar for all these right-wing people who feel stupid and like made fun of because they don't know what to say.
Right.
And then he says some shit like that, and they're like, yeah, but those are just dumb Muslims and they want to take over the West and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it hurts your feelings.
Right.
He was very good at shit like that. Like, more like Ben Shapiro is more of like an intellectual. Let me give you an intellectual argument.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk was
so
like,
intellectual, but yeah, I mean, that's what was appealing about Charlie Kirk. For one, I'll give him, I guess, credit. Not to get on my Ezra Klein here stuff, but he would debate people.
Yes.
I think
a lot of people won't debate Sam.
Yeah, I think Shapiro. I don't think Shapiro's ever debated Sam, but yeah, a lot of people won't debate, and he did actually go out and debate people who he disagreed with, and that was the argument I guess Ezra was trying to read. I didn't read his article.
Me neither.
I mean, I read some excerpts from it, and then the headline was bad enough for me. But I mean, he did go out and actually debate people, so he did that. Did he do it the right way? Like, is what Ezra Klein was trying to say? No.
Yes. No. I'm agreeing with you that's what Ezra Klein was trying to say.
Right.
Yeah, we can do this without the slams and the whatever in the title. And again, it's almost like the Obama attitude of, let me just talk to him.
Right.
Let me just explain this shit to him.
Yeah.
And then we'll all be good.
Yeah. But to what you were saying, what he did that I think was appealing was, one, he's a good speaker. He usually had some sort of rebuttal. He was good at deflecting the argument.
Quick.
Yeah, he's very quick. He's good at deflecting the argument and pivoting to something else whenever he knows doesn't have good ground. Sometimes he'll even like concede something that he doesn't want to concede just to move on to the next point.
He did that with the Sam debate.
Right. But what he also does is sometimes he'll say something more provocative, like he did in that last clip about dumb Muslims. So people who aren't very, politically astute will listen to him and say, well, this guy sounds smart. And he still says these like off color things every now and then.
Right.
So I must not be that off base in my bigotry. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It like props it up, gives it some scaffolding.
Right.
All right, so y'all know how I feel about Gaza. That shit, all of them I'm about to play are fucked up. Like that one specifically, I really don't like that shit. That's why it's fuck Charlie Kirk. But here's some more.
If you're going to remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian, see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman. I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King. Period. End of story. This guy is not worthy of a national holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's really harmful. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
New op packing the edits, guess what? He'll still be alive right now if you niggas ain't gas him up.
Yeah. That was a fucking perfect shit end of that. But dude, like I'm gonna let you speak first this time.
On what? That
just
clip?
that.
I mean, what's there to say? Jesus Christ! I mean, he was a virulent racist. I mean, this is why people have been so disgusted at like what people like Ezra Klein and other liberals have been trying to like downplay his legacy or whitewash it or whatever they're doing. That man spewed hate as a...
He thought a black woman got a customer service job because of affirmative. Bro.
Like,
did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's a wild level of bigotry.
Yeah.
All right. I got a little bit more for you. One of the clips that we just played, actually, you should hear the whole thing.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, and particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that. We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course, that's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies. That turned me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly, through our
I love how he threw anti-Asian in there, too.
Yeah, that was interesting. Because affirmative action is actually bad for Asians, too, because Asians are really good at math. And so... that like what? I mean, I get the idea. They wanted everything to be a meritocracy. In their utopia, everything's a meritocracy. In this hellhole that they live in, they can't trust the black man flying their plane or the Harvard law professor or fucking, I guess, the customer service representative, because affirmative action.
Yeah.
And affirmative action, we definitely need to have like a whole episode probably on that, because that is another one of those issues, like the Second Amendment and like pro-life shit that like the right wing uses as a wedge issue. And white people cannot, for the life of them, comprehend why that's a good idea.
Nope.
So we should probably do that. But speaking of that, I want to go right back into this other clip. This clip is going to put some of... So what you see is some of the shit that we just played get chopped up. People are like, look at this guy, he's a racist. Then you see his MAGA people be like, that's just taken out of context.
He's a good Christian father.
Well,
he loves his kids.
He was a father.
He had a wife.
2 out of 3, you know. But they will, one of them used this clip, be like, look, if you listen to the whole thing, he's obviously not a racist. And I can see, again, with the way he does this shit, as how... I just got to play it first because it ties to Lee Atwater, so I'm going to play it too. Because it's... All right, here we go.
All right, let me tell you exactly what I said,
Sure,
okay?
thank you.
So this was in response, first and foremost, to United Airlines saying that half of all their new pilots that they're going to hire are going to be women or people of color. Currently, they're 15%. Okay. So they want to go from 15% to 50%. A conversation then ensued about how every time affirmative action is employed, standards have to be lowered. There's not a single instance where that does not occur. So then I said, boy, if I see a black pilot, I'm now going to wonder, is that individual qualified, or were they selected because of their race? But that's not who I am, but this makes me think this way. And I stand completely by that statement. Okay. Secondly, let me just finish.
Sure, yeah, sorry.
DEI and affirmative action, what it does is it lowers the merit, it lowers the threshold of standards, and increases things that do not matter, such as skin color and ethnic background. So that is what I said. Okay. Now, a more important question to ask me is, Charlie, do you believe that black pilots can be qualified? Of course, any individual can be qualified. I want a hiring quota and program that only cares about qualification, not skin color. And thirdly, I would say, why does United Airlines care so much about the color of the pilots that are flying them? Shouldn't they just want the best pilots? When you guys are flying from Vegas to Dallas or Vegas to Chicago, are you going to feel safer or more comfortable when you hit turbulence if you have a diverse pilot, or if you have a cockpit of the most qualified people that are there that have proven that they know how to land and fly planes?
How do you feel about legacies in that regard? Because legacies obviously have a leg up in getting into certain institutions just based on who went there before them that is close to them.
How do I feel? I think legacies are somewhat against merit, to be consistent.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
just want to make sure you're consistent.
But I will say, though, that the study of legacies have been done because their parents are smart. They're usually actually pretty smart. And so the moving average is that legacies aren't nearly as unqualified as some affirmative action people, but there are plenty of unqualified legacies that get into Ivy League institutions, to be consistent.
To be consistent. I'll cede that point.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of him ceding a point.
But, now you agree.
Yeah. Somewhat.
If you're an affirmative action hire, then standards have been lowered by default. I'm pretty sure that's not the default, right? Because all right, here's how I'm assuming white people think it goes. There's 20 guys that want to apply for this pilot job. 19 of them are good, or 20 white guys. 19 of them are good, And then there's like 10 black guys that want to apply, and like 2 of them are good. And then like 10 black guys get hired. So no, I can't trust my pilot. I think that's how they think affirmative action works.
Yeah, it is. Or at least that's how they, peddle it to people who don't know any better.
And what kind of frustrated me too with going back, I should have more clips. So I should have pulled the clips from Ezra, Ta-Nehisi Coates conversation. But when Ta-Nehisi kept saying like, look, man, I'm sorry almost for keep going back to like my tradition and my history. But like, I have to put these things in a larger context. And Ezra refused to do that. And right-wing people that are against affirmative action refuse to do that. They're just like, no. Fucking, what rights, Brent, what rights do I have as a white, my bad, pretty bad. What rights do I have as a white man that are more than your rights?
You have all the rights.
No, you have all the rights too.
No.
Yeah, what rights do you not have?
I don't have the right to, drive out being black.
Legally, you do. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody earlier today. I used that example,
right?
Specifically because of how you got harassed in Navarre.
All right. To be fair,
what?
I did speed a lot when I was younger.
You did.
I haven't got pulled over in quite a while.
You did. But one time when we got pulled over on the beach, do you remember?
That was actually the very first time I was ever pulled over.
That was the first time?
Very first time. I only had my license for a couple months.
So I had already been pulled over with other people a few times by then, other white people. Guess how it doesn't go? How that went.
Yeah.
So, and then, again, just from personal experience, there's been numerous times where I've been, I don't know, having interaction with the police, and I have black people around, and they will say shit to me like, you shouldn't hang out with them. Like they treat me differently, almost as if I'm on their side.
Yeah. They're trying to save you.
So that's not like a thing that, there's no law that says that, right? So you got the same rights as me. That's kind of where, in their mind, it ends. Like, again, it's like surface level thinking. That's Charlie Kirk to the fucking T. That's where it ends. But when you have to apologize, like, I'm sorry, but we have to put this in larger context. I'm sorry I have to do it because you fucking refuse to do it. Like, no, fuck that. So that frustrates me. I don't know where I was going with that. But I did want to go to Lee Atwater. We're definitely doing a whole episode on Lee Atwater. Might be the next one I do. This clip is Lee Atwater explaining the Southern strategy. Oh, excuse me. And it's... All right, hold on. Let me play it, and then we'll talk about it.
Here's how I would approach that issue as a statistician or a political scientist, or no, as a psychologist, which I'm not, is how abstract you handle the race thing. In other words, you start out, and now y'all aren't quoting me on this. You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts your backfire, so you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now, you're talking about cutting taxes, and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing, and a hell of a lot more abstract than nigger, you know. So any way you look at it, race is coming on the back burner.
So, what's so, I want to say interesting, crazy about that clip is he's almost, because you know about Lee Atwater, you know, he played the blues and like thought he was like a cool white guy that had black friends, and he didn't think of himself as a racist. And what he
and just so people know, Lee Atwater. Oh
yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh,
I forgot to introduce
you up
who he was. No, go for it.
Well, I was gonna say Lee Atwater. He was a Republican strategist, political strategist. Mm-hmm. He worked for the first
George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, first Bush 1 campaign, and he was sort of the pioneer of like.
Started with the college Republicans.
Did he?
Sure did.
Okay.
Karl Rove.
Yep. Karl Rove was like one of his. Well, Karl Rove came after Lee Atwater, right?
Yeah, in the college Republicans.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he was just a right wing Republican strategist who like pioneered lying.
Yeah, he's the one that fucking broke the game before Trump broke it further. Like, the best way I can describe it is pre-Lee Atwater, Nixon era. And he worked on the Nixon campaign, or because I know Roger Stone did, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Roger Stone did. He has a tattoo of Nixon on his back. I hope he worked at least.
No, I know Roger Stone. I'm pretty sure Lee Atwater did too.
Yeah.
But Nixon, fucking Watergate, what did he do? He had some fucking hidden microphones in his office with secret recording people. Broke the law. Can't do that. There was 3 news channels at the time, ABC, CBS, and the other one was NBC. It wasn't Fox. They all said on all 3 news networks, this man committed a crime, even the one that was the most conservative leaning. So all of us in society, now I wasn't alive, all of Americans were kind of like, well, shit, even though I like Nixon and his stuff, dude committed a crime. He's got to fucking resign. Lee Atwater, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort hated that, told Nixon to just deny it, don't fucking resign, fight it, fight some kind of propaganda war. And by the time Reagan came around, Iran-Contra happened, and he's on TV saying, you know, my heart, or what the fuck?
Oh, we had that clip.
Yeah, I'll have to pull that up.
Yeah, we'll do that on the Lee Atwater episode.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. But Lee Atwater, here's another thing that kind of explains this. He had a political aide whenever he was in D.C., and this aide was interviewed by a Washington, D.C. newspaper, and this aide was like, yeah, Lee Atwater was showing me in the newspaper, it said that he read a book every month. And I told Lee, you don't read a book every month. We read the books, and we fucking tell you about what's in them. And he's like, well, it says right there in the paper I do, so I do. So Lee Atwater is like one of the first people to realize perception. This is Roger Stone things, politics, perception.
Right.
If you have a newspaper that says it's real, it's real. If you have a Prager University, if you have a Fox News channel, if you have a Heritage Foundation think tank, if you create a fucking ecosystem that just lies,
right, people will believe it.
That's all, bro. They want to believe the lie.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say he had no shame, because there's something that really fucked up happened to him whenever he was a kid that kind of broke him as a human being.
Yeah, didn't something happen to his brother or something?
Yeah, if I go ahead and say it. His little brother was like pulling on something on the kitchen counter and spilled a whole bunch of hot grease all over himself and like burned to death. His little brother was like 3, right in front of Lee Atwater's eye.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, Lee was like 6 or 7.
He burned to death from hot grease?
Lee's mom was cooking some bullshit, left it unattended. Apparently,
make sure you put them handles inside.
Apparently, the little kid was tugging on it, and she said, "Stop it." Turned around. Fucking the kid kept tugging, pulled it on himself. The parents didn't know what to do. I guess the dad like threw napkins on him. And so Lee just like sits there and watches his little brother fucking slowly die. Very painful way.
You can die from that?
Yeah, bro.
I would figure like you'd be disfigured and stuff, but
I mean, he was a little kid.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, there's a lot of grease.
Yeah.
But that broke him. He became essentially like, this world is fucked. Fuck it. Like, they broke
yeah, I
his
don't know
morals,
if that. I mean, I think there was probably some other things along the way, but
I mean, he was a contrarian and like
right.
all that shit. But like, I think that's the thing. Like with Trump, he has no shame. I think because that happened to Lee, he was able to do things like what's the ad? You know what I'm talking about? Willie Horton. The Willie Horton ad.
Yeah.
He showed that ad to Roger Stone. Roger Stone said, "Don't do this. This is way too racist."
Yeah.
Lee Atwater's like, no, you don't understand.
So just to be clear,
because he was fucking broken.
Because we're going on a little bit of a tangent about Lee Atwater,
Yeah.
but yeah, he basically pioneered like dog whistle politics and
right. Which is what that clip was also.
Right,
sure.
That's what the clip was about, and he was. I mean, this was really part of the Southern strategy, like
Explain dog whistle politics real quick for people who don't know.
It's basically being racist, but being subtle about it. Like he was saying in the clip, you can't say nigger anymore. Instead, you have to say, we got to do something about these welfare queens or states' rights, or whatever. You find other ways.
You talk about lowering taxes, knowing that's going to disproportionately hurt black people.
Right. So that's basically what it is. So he was good at that. And during the Bush campaign, they aired this clip of this guy named Willie Horton who was convicted of, was it raping a white woman or something?
I guess we'll go into it. So, all right. At the time, there was a bunch of furlough programs throughout the whole country. Even Ronald Reagan, when he was governor of California, a lot of people go out on furlough. And a furlough is essentially you have a long sentence, even I think furlough specifically a life sentence, and you can go out, I guess it doesn't have to be a life sentence, but you can go out on like weekends, or like maybe you get like a week to go hang out with your family. It was like a reward for being like a model prisoner. Like this dude fucked up one time, He's been great since he's been in here. We're gonna let him fucking do this. It's like good for him, good for us. He's not gonna go crazy in here. Willie Horton was on a furlough. I think it was under where was Dukakis, the governor? Do you remember? Was it like Maryland? Not Maryland. Was
I can't remember.
Somewhere in the Northeast. Wherever
Yeah,
Michael
one of those
Dukakis
states.
was running for president against Ronald Reagan. Whenever Dukakis was governor, some guy named Willie Horton got out on a furlough, escaped with 2 other guys. They went and stole a car, went to someone's house, kidnapped, and like I think they killed the husband.
Massachusetts.
I think they killed the husband, raped the wife. Willie Horton says he never got out of the car. One of the other guys says he never got out of the car. Willie Horton went in. We don't fucking know what happened. Regardless, furloughs were a good thing. This guy took advantage of it. One of them guys did, fucked it up. And because Willie Horton was black, Lee Atwater knew this is a great way to dog whistle, to get the white racist base up and going out for Ronald Reagan, which is why they started their campaign in wherever that fuck was, Mississippi, where those civil rights workers were killed.
Yeah,
You remember that?
yeah, I can't remember which part of Mississippi,
But
but yeah.
the Willie Horton ad, he's going through, there's a black guy going through, all right, there's a bunch of prisoners going through a turnstile of a prison. It's like they're walking into prison, but it's a turnstile and they're walking right back out. Get it? Furlough programs are bad. They're letting prisoners go in and right back out. There's a bunch of white guys, and then there's one black guy. And he goes in, turns through the turnstile, comes back out, and whenever he comes back out, he looks up at the camera like, I'm a fucking scary prisoner.
Right. He's the only prisoner who looks at the camera. So it's like...
This was intentional.
Deliberate, yeah.
It was very deliberate. So deliberate that racist Roger Stone was like, bro, that's a little too racist. That's a little too on the nose for you.
Right.
Lee Atwater was like, no, you don't understand. We have independent guys that are going to fund it, so it's not tied to us. So you can't even say Ronald Reagan put out the campaign. Ronald Reagan was like, I don't like that ad. Doesn't fucking matter. Again, it's a dog whistle. It's the same thing like when Trump would say Nazi shit. Nazis could be like, aha, he said that Nazi thing, that Nazi phrase. So I know no matter what else he says, that's just bullshit because he said that Nazi phrase. We're on the same page. So Lee Atwater is the king of that shit. To me, all these other people, Candace Owens, her little new friend with the mustache, can't remember his name, the right-wing comedy sphere at the mothership, Flagrant 2, whatever the fuck his name, Andrew Schultz, Ben Shapiro, to me, they're all part of the same ecosystem that Lee was like the visionary of.
He was the pioneer, the trailblazer.
So really when I say fuck Charlie Kirk, it's not personally fuck Charlie Kirk. It's fuck him because he's part of this whole machine that's fucking, like Ta-Nehisi said, like it's used for hate.
Yeah. Pushing hate.
Hate machine, baby. And they have to.
Lee Atwater was doing politics the right way.
That almost sounded like Lee. All right. Fuck, we're 48 minutes in.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about Turning Point USA, but that's going to take a minute. So I think I'm just going to break that up to the next episode. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll play some of these other clips that we got here before we end the show. All right, and we back. So I'm going to start with the clip that you sent me of Trumpito Mango Mussolini talking to Erdogan. So Erdogan is the president of Turkey.
Turkey.
Oh yeah, my bad. Turkey. And in this video, it's like Trump sitting around his cabinet members, fucking Marco Rubio, fucking douchebag, slick back hair, fucking sloppy steaks. Pete Hegseth is there. But this is what Trump is saying, I guess, about I don't know the question. Let me just play it. We'll talk about it.
He took over Syria. Nobody knows it was him. You know what? He took over Syria. Nobody knows it was him. I said, congratulations. He didn't want to talk about it. I said, they've been trying to do it for 2,000 years. He's low-key.
It's not very low key when you just fucking talking to the fucking reporters, you asshole.
Yeah.
He's taking notes on a criminal conspiracy, dog.
Stringer Bell?
Yeah.
I need to watch that.
I've never seen The Wire.
You never seen The Wire? I started watching. I watched like
we should watch
most
that
of the. Yeah, we should actually.
It's supposed to be the best television show, like crime show of all time.
Yeah, I watched the first season a long time ago, but I forgot most of it.
Okay.
But I just thought that I sent that clip to you just because I thought it was funny, honestly. And
so hold on, what is he talking about? So I guess he's talking about Turkey installed who they want in Syria. So that means they really took over Syria. They've been trying to take over Syria for a long time, and they've been trying to do it secretly.
Bro, the way he talks, bro.
I know, right?
It's unbelievable to me. But yeah. So he was talking to Erdogan, who's currently the president of Turkey. And
shout out Caleb.
For those who may not know, Syria was recently overthrown by a former head or one of the leaders of Al Qaeda or Al Nusra, which is like a spinoff of Al Qaeda. And his name was Jolani. That was his name while he was one of the leads of Al Nusra, but now he goes by
Al Sahara.
Al Sahara. Yeah.
All right.
And essentially, it was Turkey who was backing a lot of these people who ended up overthrowing the Assad government in Syria. And a lot of them were actually trained in Turkey and were living in Turkey. So without Turkey...
Hold on, you're saying the Turkish revolutionaries overthrew Assad were? They were trained?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Syrian revolutionaries overthrew Assad were trained in Turkey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They were, a lot of them were, not all of them.
Because Turkey didn't like...
Assad. Yeah, there was
whites.
No, it was just a power play.
Okay.
For Erdogan, more or less.
Geopolitics, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because at some point, and I don't know, I'm not that well versed on the history between Turkey and Syria.
Yeah, because the way he said it is like they've been trying to do this for 2,000 years. I'm like, what?
Yeah, which isn't even that's not accurate because the Ottoman Empire
What?
ended.
Trump says something not accurate.
Yeah, just for the record, the Ottoman Empire collapsed at the end of World War I, which was 1917, 1918, roughly, somewhere around there.
Pre-Israel existed.
The Syria was incorporated in the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire, Turkey was the center of the Ottoman Empire, the Turkic people. So they held Syria as about 100 years ago. So I don't know where Trump got this 2,000 years thing. They literally just had Syria under their empire, about 100 years ago. So that's just wrong anyway. Mm-hmm. But I just thought it was funny because not only did Erdogan help these right-wing, fundamentalists, terrorists, if you want to call them that.
Freedom fighters.
I have problems with the word terrorist because it's always applied to brown people and never to...
Or just any indigenous people trying to fight against colonizers.
Yeah, but these were not nice guys. These were the guys...
You sound like Trump.
These were some real bad guys. These are some bad hombres.
These are some bad guys.
Some bad hombres.
Insane asylums. Do you know what that is, Brent?
Right. But no, but these were the guys who were, doing the beheading videos, right? They were cutting people's heads off.
That shit fucked me up in freshman year.
Yeah, I mean, these were not good people, and they were killing a lot of in minority Shiites, Alawites. For those who don't know, the far right, I guess, of Islam, Sunni Islam,
the Saudis.
Yeah, they see most of anybody who's a Shiite or even even like a more, I don't know what you would call it, like a more liberal Sunni.
Iranian?
Well, no, Iranians are Shia.
I know, but like as a Sunni, I think they think Shia is more liberal, right?
Yeah, but I don't think. I think it's less about the, you know, being liberal and more. They don't agree with the theology.
The prophets.
Yeah, the prophet. They think the prophet descended from somebody else.
Okay.
But anyway, so Sunnis are this far right version of Sunniism. They call it Wahhabism, and
yes, and that's what Bin Laden was.
Yeah,
and Al Qaeda,
and I think it's also Salafi.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another one. So
not Haile Selassie. That's Rastafari. That's cool.
Yeah. But so anyway, so they are very critical of anybody who's to the left of that, and they were killing, a lot of people in Syria. This was basically what caused the civil war. So just a little bit of history. There was the Arab Spring happened around 2011-ish, I think it was.
Yeah, 2011, 2012, yeah.
All right, and so you had all these Arab countries who were having uprisings.
Iran.
Yeah. And Syria was one of these countries. And there was some organic uprising against the Assad.
Grassroots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And because, people didn't like Assad. He was an Alawite, which is part
Alawites was like 10% of the population.
It was a minority ethnic group and religion, rather. And most of the country, I think, is Sunni. They didn't like him. But also, there was some people who did like him because the Assad, I hate using the word regime, the Assad government, for all its faults, did protect some. It wasn't perfect.
Like the Kurds?
Yeah, they did protect some minorities and what have you. Needless to say, there was a bit of like a color revolution, if you will, where the U.S. was backing these more radical elements in Syria. There was
Al-Qaeda,
Al-Nusra.
Yes, and ISIS and ISIL, right?
It became ISIL, which was the problem.
Okay.
And there was like a memo that was in WikiLeaks where Jake Sullivan,
recognize that name?
Yeah, he was a former national security advisor under Biden.
Okay.
Had sent a memo to the State Department saying that Al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. That's literally what it says. Oof. Almost verbatim. You can go online and find it. It's not controversial. This is fact.
Oof.
Jake Sullivan sent a memo, I think it was to the State Department, I forget who it was to directly, but saying Al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. So basically, we had been trying to overthrow the Assad government. We were using these right-wing...
John McCain was pretty big about that, right? Overthrowing Assad.
Everybody was. I mean, it was the whole
war hawks.
The whole political establishment was. This happened under Obama. This was part of what they called Operation Sycamore, where
I remember this.
Yeah, we were funding. We spent billions of dollars training, giving weapons to moderates. I'm using air quotes. You guys can't see us.
Quote unquote moderates.
Right, quote unquote moderates, and essentially, this was in an effort to overthrow the Assad regime. So
to install someone that's more friendly to us.
Yeah, maybe just to get rid of them. Yeah, we if that happens, great. But let's get this guy out first.
Right.
Very short sighted. That's how most of American foreign policy is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so fast forward. This actually ends up happening eventually with the help of, countries like Turkey, who wanted to overthrow the Assad government for their own selfish reasons, and they were also backing these.
Are they
people
on some try to get the empire back type shit? Because we were the center of the Ottoman Empire. This is
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Erdogan in particular. A lot of people say he's very narcissistic and wants to be like.
Would you say it's similar to Putin wanting to get the USSR, a couple USSR states back?
No,
it's different.
No, because that's not a thing. Putin's
no.
Never. Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay.
I mean, that's a narrative that we hear in the West that Putin wants to. Putin doesn't is not a communist, doesn't have any real.
I was talking to somebody about this today.
USSR.
I wonder how much of it is we just assume that they would be like we are.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of it's projection.
We would definitely want to do that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they definitely got to do that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Most of American foreign policy is based on thinking that these people would do what we would want to do, and that's not
Colonize
true.
the world. Yeah. That's what we want to do. So obviously that's what they want to do.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, long story short, eventually the Assad government is overthrown with the help of the United States, Turkey, the other Gulf states who are also backing these right-wing people like Qatar, Saudi Arabia.
Because of the Sunni Shia struggle, or just geopolitically those happen to line up?
All of the above.
Okay.
Just, geopolitics is never one thing.
That's true. That's true.
So,
a lot of moving parts.
So anyway, I thought it was funny because this is like anybody who, most people don't follow this stuff like we do, or like I do. So nobody would never know this, but Trump, and this is why
low key, baby.
This is why Trump is so funny to me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate him in some very strange ways, is that he just says the quiet part out loud sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
He just says, yeah, you've been trying to overthrow Syria.
Finally got it done. Good job, bud.
Good job. Like,
hey, Rubio, isn't that funny?
That's true. They were trying to overthrow Syria. He left out the part where we were helping.
Right.
But I just thought that was extremely funny. So now this guy, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is it funny or is it scary arrogant? Because it's almost like at the end of Inglourious Bastards, or like, hey, you're gonna take that Nazi shit off. We're gonna carve this shit in your face. So we know I like to know my Nazis. And Trump's almost just like, throw the uniform on. It's cool. Yeah, you should. He's been wanting to try to take over this for a long time. You got it back. It's cool. Is it like, yeah, you should be, if they're gonna go full fascist. Yeah. Because again, the way he talks about dictators and shit, do you see the way people react to Kim Jong-un? I want my people to do that type shit. I think.
Yeah. I don't think. Look.
What?
I just don't think Trump cares. Some of it is.
You think somebody told him about that story before he walked into that room?
He probably didn't even. There's
That's
no
what
way.
I mean. That's what I mean.
I bet there's no way he knew what happened. Understood.
Yeah, because Trump understands Middle East fucking complexity. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way. So he just he just said it out loud and just, good job on finally getting Syria, my guy. It's like,
what's so crazy is how it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
like you said, it's nice to have it out there.
Right.
Because it's not me trying to explain to somebody, look, this is what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. No, he said it.
Yeah. There is something like refreshing about him being transparent about, like, even like whenever he was talking about Venezuela in his first term, we almost overthrew him. We were close. We almost had all that oil. It was almost all ours. We were so close. Like he just says, like, we're gonna take Canada. We're gonna take Greenland.
Greenland, baby.
And it says so. Anyway, I just appreciated that for what it was.
Well, all right, hold on. How does that relate to the CIA? Who is this from the CIA talking about?
This is David Petraeus.
Oh, this is Petraeus. He was under I guess
Obama?
Afghanistan. I think it was under Obama, but he was Afghanistan or Iraq or both. I can't remember.
Well, I think he was a general.
Oh, I'm thinking McNamara. That was the guy that was deployed, right?
No. McNamara was like in the Kennedy.
Or was he higher up? It was okay. My bad. Keep saying what you're about to say.
Yeah, Petraeus was a general, I think, in the during the Iraq what they call
like the
surge.
The surge.
So this actually would have been under Bush.
Right, okay.
I think he was a general at the time. He later became the CIA director under Obama, I believe.
So this is the guy that was, again, we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan because they're harboring terrorists. Iraq, it was kind of also about the weapons of mass destruction that they didn't have. And
don't drop that yellow cake.
God, that fucking Chappelle, bro. But like, the idea was like Al-Qaeda is able to flourish in these areas. Al-Qaeda just hit us on 9/11.
Yeah.
We're going to ignore the whole Saudi connection, and we're going to go in Iraq and take out Al-Qaeda. And now he's talking, he's talking to this guy?
He's talking to this former head of al-Nusra.
Which is a spinoff of Al-Qaeda, and he's now the president of Syria. All right,
Yeah.
listen to this fucking shit.
So this next one is about you personally. How are you holding up under all this pressure? Are you getting time to do some thinking? Are you getting enough sleep at night? Again, I've been there, and it is so very, very hard. And your many fans, and I am one of them, we do have worries.
You doing okay, buddy? Before you say anything, I want to follow this up because there was another video that was linked underneath that, and it's also Petraeus talking to him, but listen to this shit.
Please join again in welcoming President Ahmed al-Shara to the stage. As you know, Mr. President, I spent over 37 years in the U.S. Army, and I was a soldier, not a diplomat. So I hope you'll forgive me if I speak with the directness of the old soldier that I am as I get the first question out of the way. Because the fact is that we were on different sides when I was commanding the surge in Iraq. You were, of course, detained by U.S. forces for some 5 years, including, again, when I was the 4-star there. And here you are now as the president of Syria, which your forces liberated from the murderous Bashar al-Assad regime to participate in your first UN General Assembly as the president of your country.
I generally rolled into your country, was at war with you. You were arrested by my people for war crimes, which I'm just going to gloss over and not even mention what those were. Now look at you, buddy. What the fuck?
Where's that meme of the old dude from I forget his name? Like, look at us too. Who would have thought we would have been here? You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. What is his name?
Damn, it's escaping me at the moment.
Fucking name shit.
Paul. He was in
Just IMDb it.
Yeah.
But dude, the fact that again, this also the parallels to
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Yes.
Came to me.
That's it. Right. Fucking look at us. Yeah.
Look at us.
The parallels to Afghanistan, how we propped up the Taliban to fight the Soviets. I'm like, yeah, those are my boys. Those are my boys.
Right.
Oh, Taliban sucks. Actually, Taliban, give us that base back. You saw that shit? Trump's trying to take he wants the U.S. base back, and I guess is that the one,
Kabul's
the main one?
Capital.
I can't remember which one. There's one. I was talking to Brian about this. That's very close to
Pakistan or something.
Something to China. Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't it? Afghanistan's closer to China than Russia, right?
Yeah, it borders China.
There's something militarily wise that like.
Wait, no. Afghanistan borders. Probably borders both of them. I gotta pull up a map. I know it borders.
Maybe it's Russia.
Russia, because Russia invaded Afghanistan.
That's true. Regardless, what I was told by somebody that follows military shit as much military friends is that it's strategically beneficial to have that base there. And a lot of military people kind of pissed about pulling out of Afghanistan because like, what was the point? Like, I went and fought there, lost my friends, lost my legs, lost whatever. For what? We just left. So like, there's that contingent of people that want to at least get that strategic base back. And Trump recently said, yo, Taliban, give us that base back or we're going to take it. Taliban said, come get it. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's just the similarities between right there, the CIA or Hold on. Why did it say CIA? Did Petraeus go on to work for the CIA?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah,
He was the CIA director.
Director, yeah.
Got it.
I think under Obama.
Yeah, because he was.
You don't remember the
general under Bush? Yeah.
The whole the fallout or around him, like leaking stuff to his mistress.
Yes.
And Gmail, like they had the same Gmail account that they were logging into and like typing in the drafts. That's
what it was. Yes, they didn't think they could get caught if they just typed a draft, saved it, and then somebody else would log into the email.
Right.
On some like spy shit.
Yeah. They got
Little did the director of the CIA know. And NSA's got everything, broski. Yeah, I do remember that. That was a crazy scandal.
That's when he was CIA director, and he had leaked all this information, which I don't think was even important. It should have been probably public information anyway, to this journalist who wrote a book.
Right, because he was having an affair with her, right?
Yeah.
Petraeus. But anyways, the parallels. This is a military general in Iraq that went on to be the CIA director in Iraq. This guy's my enemy. As a CIA director, he's a great guy.
Yeah, well, he's not a CIA director anymore.
Or, all right, as ex-CIA director that's now playing politics. Is he what is he?
Yeah, I don't even know what form that was. It was just some think tank.
An ambassador, probably some think tank shit.
Yeah, it's exactly. But yeah, as you were saying, it just illustrates like how transactional our foreign policy actually is. Like, it's not based on like good guys and bad guys.
So it's not based on morals that are backed by Christian. Yeah, it's fucking not, Charlie.
Right.
Yeah. It never has been, never will be. That's a weird argument that you're trying to make to circumvent the separation of church and state. It's intellectually dishonest. You're having a bad faith argument with me. You do this shit all the time. It's not just you. It's all of y'all. Why? Because there's two conservative parties in America. The Democrats do a pretty good fucking job arguing for conservatism. So Republicans got to be like, well, shit. We did the Tea Party thing. What's next? Let's go on Jubilee and realize I'm a fascist. Like, that's why shit like that, to me, like you said, with Trump, he says the loud part out loud. I want my enemies to be clear as to why we disagree, why we don't like each other. Whenever you try to subvert it on some bullshit like Ben Shapiro or Kirk or fucking Candace or whoever, I really hate that shit. I hate it even more than I hate all those people. I hate Democrats who fucking try to pretend like they're on our side, or they're the most conservative motherfucker. While Kamala Harris is saying Trump is a communist. God damn that bitch, bro. Say all that to say.
Forgot about that clip.
Fucking Democrats, bro. After all this Charlie Kirk episode, all I have to say is fucking Democrats and people like Ezra who keep propping up the fucking Democrats with these dumbass ideas.
Dumb as hell.
All right. You want any final word? Or all right. The Assata Shakur clip and Marilyn Buck clip. I haven't heard either one. Should we play both or should we save one for the next part two? I feel like we should probably end on one of these.
Yeah. Go ahead and just play Assata.
All right. Didn't she just pass away?
Yeah, that's why I'm playing her.
Rest in power, Queen.
That's right.
The whole liberation of oppressed people in the United States has to do not with climbing up some ladder to success, not for asking to be just like Rockefeller or just like DuPont or just like Ford, because that would only continue the oppression and exploitation of oppressed people in the United States, and specifically African people born and raised in the United States. Socialism is an integral part of building social justice on this planet. The condition of my people, my history, was very much connected with other oppressed people, and I began to see that the same foot that was on the necks of the Vietnamese people, that was on the necks of all oppressed people on the planet was the same foot that was on my neck. And so I began to understand that imperialism has to go. It is a poison that is killing people all over this world. The priorities of this planet have to be completely changed. And instead of profits, instead of policies that destroy the earth, that destroy the water, that destroy human beings, I believe a policy that protects people, that makes people live in a community, a world community. That's what I believe. That's my basic political commitment at this moment.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Assata. I just want to read a little bit about her right quick.
Do it.
So Assata Shakur was born Joanne Chesimard in 1947 in New York. She came of age during the civil rights and Black Power movements as a student activist. She joined the Harlem branch of the Black Panther Party, helping organize free breakfasts, health clinics, and political education. But like many Panthers, she faced the full force of FBI repression under COINTELPRO, which infiltrated, smeared, and assassinated Black leaders, like Fred Hampton, for example. Forced underground, she joined the Black Liberation Army. In 1973, she was pulled over on the New Jersey Turnpike with her comrades Zaid Malik Shakur and Sundiata Okolie. A shootout followed. Zaid and a state trooper were killed, and Assata was shot and captured. Despite weak and contested evidence, she was convicted of murder in 1977. She later described herself as a 20th century escaped slave, trapped in a system where justice for Black revolutionaries was impossible. In 1979, she escaped prison with the help of supporters, and by 1984, she had received asylum in Cuba. Fidel Castro called her a true political prisoner, a victim of repression against the Black movement. The U.S. never stopped hunting her, offering a $2 million bounty and labeling her a most wanted terrorist. Meanwhile, it sheltered anti-Cuban terrorists responsible for killing civilians, exposing a stark double standard. Assata Shakur lived the rest of her life in Havana, where she wrote, organized, and remained a symbol of resistance until her death just a few days ago. And her words continue to inspire. This is a quote from her. "It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains." So shout out to Assata. She just passed away. Revolutionary. She was, one of the. She was also the godmother.
She was the godmother of
Tupac Shakur. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, anybody who's a fan of hip hop have heard people like Common mention her, and like she's like one of those fixtures who always gets mentioned. Assata,
Quali.
Yeah. They have the Assata Taught Me shirts that were like real popular for a while. Of course, Mos Def. Any of the quote unquote conscious rappers have probably mentioned Assata Shakur at one point or another. So yeah, shout out to her. Rest in power. And then also, I do want to play that clip because I just think it's crazy that she escaped prison.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the thing that happened. Like Timothy Leary got broken out of prison by the Weather Underground.
Right. Like you never hear about that anymore.
Fuck no.
Like it's except for
they used to have
a couple months ago where all those dudes broke out and were like running.
Yeah, but
around.
Okay, when you escape prison now, they're caught within like a week or two.
Yeah.
Back then, you could escape prison, flee to another country, and like you were like airplane hijackings also is another thing that happened all the time to get political prisoners free so they could flee to another country. Like who was it that fled from the Black Panther Party to Algeria?
Eldridge Cleaver.
Eldridge Cleaver. Like sometimes that's something you had to do.
Right. No doubt.
But yeah, shout out to Assata Shakur, Tupac's godmother. Do you know who Tupac, the Tupac part of his name was named after?
No, I don't think so.
It was, it's like an Incan. Hold on. is named after Tupac Amaru II, a descendant of the last Inca ruler who was executed in Peru in 1781 after his revolt against Spanish rule. Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, explained, "I wanted him to have the name of a revolutionary indigenous people in the world. I wanted him to know he was part of a world culture and not just from a neighborhood." So he was named after
That's dope.
An Incan
Shout out to Afeni
ruler, and his godmother was fucking Assata Shakur.
That's what's up.
That's awesome. All right,
But play the clip from Marilyn Buck.
All right. Oh yeah. So do you want to set this up? Who she is?
She helped Assata escape from prison.
Okay.
Since the early 70s, I have been a target of COINTELPRO, though I can't show you any documents because I can't get any papers. But I think that the U.S. government, that, number one, they fear revolution, they fear a change in the status, and they fear the liberation of black people, of Puerto Rico, of Native American people. They fear the breakup of the empire. They fear the loss of the wealth and power that the ruling class has here. And they fear the people who are committed to doing that. I have a 70-year sentence for participating in the liberation of Assata Shakur, support for the Black Liberation Struggle, in solidarity with the Black Liberation Army in various actions. It was called a conspiracy by the government, a criminal conspiracy. And I think because I was a white person who has been committed since 1968 perhaps, until now, and that no matter what they have done to me, the years in prison, the years in isolation, that I have not renounced that. I have never recanted that. Assata represents the strength and the spirit of the liberation of black people's struggle for liberation in this country. And when that spirit, that representation of that spirit is freed, then there's hope. There's hope for black people. There's hope for all people who love liberation and who love freedom.
Hell yeah. Where y'all at, white people?
That's what you call a real accomplice right there. That's not an ally. That's
an accomplice, baby. I love that.
But yeah, shout out to her.
It kind of reminds me of, again, that stupid ass interview with Ta-Nehisi and Ezra, but it's kind of a good note to go out on. And I kind of like this. Ta-Nehisi is like, I have a friend, I'm not going to name him, but he said, hey, this is like the best group of white folks we've ever had. Yeah. So as bad as it is right now, you know what? Actually, I don't even know if that's true anymore. After just listening to that Marilyn Buck shit and thinking about it, where are they at? Where's the Weather Underground at? I don't know if we. I mean,
I think
you got Ireland, we got Kneecap, but like in America, I think I know what he means because he's a liberal and he means like we got a bunch of good.
I'm just noticing this guy's sorry. He's got a Walter Rodney book on his.
Wait, is that the Africa one right here?
Yeah, that's the same one I got right there. He had it on his bookshelf.
That's fucking dope. Hell yeah.
I know whatever he was saying, I agree with.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, but look, I think what Ta-Nehisi Coates was referring to was like, broadly speaking, we have more white people with decent politics than we ever have had in the history of this country. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Right. Maybe we don't have like radicals
exactly
like Weather Underground or Marilyn Buck, but we have
John Brown or shit like that. Yeah.
We have a lot of decent white people with decent politics, so we should be able to get something off the ground here.
Yes, and as bad as it is right now, it's been worse, and it's a struggle. Like you said, man. Like this is Ezra. Like Ezra called it fatalistic.
Right.
No, it's realistic.
Also, this is, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
This remind me of one part that I really hated was like when Ezra was like, hold on. I forget what they were talking about, but you know how Ta-Nehisi kept going back to like historical reference points.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like
my tradition,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in response to one of those times, I think Ezra was like, I feel like when you go back in history like that, it's too narrow or limiting or something
how
like
did
that.
He say
I forgot how he said it.
Yes, and it very frustrated me too when he said it. And
he just wants to live in a vacuum of today's politics.
How different is that from a right-wing person that's like,
not at all.
Hey, you had a black president, you got all the same rights.
Right.
What more?
He may have said limiting.
What more do you want?
I use the word limit. He said something along those lines. When you think about history like that, when you go that far back, it really limits. I don't know what he was trying to get at, but
because he's a weeds person, I'm gonna get into the weeds of what it is right now. Again, this is almost like a personality trait difference. When if you're a revolutionary or you're I don't know, another country like China or Russia, you think about things on a large scale. Not even those. Europe, again, because we're such a young country, we don't think about shit like that. There's fucking castles in Europe. They have thousands of years of fucking history and revolutions and fights, and we just refuse to think long term. And you have to, because if you're a capitalist, it's just like a business. You can't think long term. You think about next quarter profits. If you're a capitalist, all you think about is maximizing profit and growth right now, because as long as everyone does that, that's when this system works. It's they have to be like that. They cannot zoom out, because as soon as you zoom out, you're like, oh shit, we're the problem.
Yeah.
And that can't be the answer, because he's got a nice New York Times paid for apartment in Manhattan and gets to go take ayahuasca trips and hang out with Matthew Iglesias. So there's no way capitalism can be that bad. We just got to tweak it a little bit. If the unions would just get out of our way and they could deregulate so we can put a power plant in a black neighborhood and the abundance agenda.
I mean, I think the thing that frustrates me about that in particular, when, because this was sort of one of the themes throughout that discussion. It was Ta-Nehisi kept trying to bring in history.
Yeah.
It's like things have been worse, and black people have always had to deal with violence.
Right.
And he kept bringing up these points, and and for Ezra to respond in a way where he was like, you keep bringing up these historical points, but I feel like this is limiting in some aspect. What's limiting, Ezra, is whenever you feel like you have to capitulate to right-wing politics in order for Democrats to win.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to deal with any sort of class issues or economic issues.
Bro,
that's very limiting.
Hey, Democrats, why don't you be pro-choice, because then you can get elected and do some good. But the very last thing we'd do is anything economic, any kind of economic populism.
Right.
We can't do anything that, I don't know, stops colonialism in Gaza. Bro.
Exactly. And they didn't even get into Gaza or they already had that conversation. So I know why you didn't bring it up, yeah.
But,
that's what is very, he kept, this is fatalistic. He did use that word.
Mm-hmm.
It just, whenever he's hamstringed his own politics.
Yes.
And then he wants to talk about other people being fatalistic and having a sort of a blinkered vision or a just limited vision. Come on, man.
That's why he's stuck and he doesn't know what to do. And he's still constantly in this, we have to find these centrists and maybe some right wingers that we can get over to our side. But the fucking last thing in the world we can do is address all the apathetic people that didn't vote and left your fucking party because you refuse to do anything for us.
Right. Yeah. And Ta-Nehisi did point that out. He was like, I wish you would care more about the people in the tent than trying to get all these people outside of the tent. You know what I mean?
Yes. And Ezra's like, no, but the other tent, they're on the other side of the line. What, I just can't talk to the people on the other side of the line? Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah. So frustrating, bro.
Yeah. It's a fundamental lacking of an understanding of how political discourse should go. Bro, if there's no two opposing forces, if one force is pulling constantly and then the other force is trying to capitulate and halfway meet that force, it's not going to work out, man.
Right.
But that's dialectical materialism and balance, essentially. We'll get into that next episode. See y'all later. All right, peace. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Any final thoughts?
I'm good. We've been going for a minute, but I just want to end on saying personally,
Sarah,
that
final Kirk thoughts.
Wait, why'd you try to shoehorn me to
Because it's the
say
Kirk
something
episode.
Well,
I don't give a fuck. Say what you want.
But I just was very frustrated with Ezra and liberals in particular in this moment, and their failure to live up to the moment. You know, we're on the brink of a government shutdown. We got ICE patrol agents invading cities, talking about invasion.
They want to argue with Ta-Nehisi Coates.
And yeah, and they want to talk about how we should be appealing to people who, want their kids to have have children from rapists, or who maybe we should be a little softer around the edges on gun control, or maybe we should, I don't know. It's just like they are still moving to the right, or trying to figure out a way to court right wingers in a moment where the right is saying we literally do not give a fuck.
Even while he actively praises a guy that did not give a fuck, did not try to have any good faith arguments, did not meet anyone in the center.
Yeah.
All he did was, like we pointed out, the fake capitulation, so I could fucking get you to agree with the bullshit, even though this isn't really capitulation. Like, none of, like, man, it's frustrating. I don't know.
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating. So I don't got anything else to say about it, but we might be cooked.
Think so? Yeah, bro. I've been on that. I've been on that island. Come on over. Water's fine.
Yeah, man. We're
fucked, bro.
Yeah, coming apart at these seams.
And again, I was talking to somebody earlier today that is a fan of Kirk, and I asked him, like, what, like, because again, we were having good conversation. Like, we were having good faith conversation. He was meeting me. I was trying to meet him. And I was like, well, what do you think it is, man? Like, why can't we do this? And he's like, I think it's technology, man. And I think part of it is that. And
who's this person you're talking about?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
But I think that's a part of this that you can't put back in the box. And if you want to look at things historically and try to analyze them historically, there is this other part now that mass media through our fucking technology has created that I want to say, like, we're in uncharted territory or uncharted water. Like, I can't look at a historical example and be like, okay, I think it's probably going to play out like this. It just seems like it's going to be bad. So there you go. Something positive to think about.
It's not good. It's not good. All right.
Go to your local Department of War office. Make sure they know you're on their side. Don't wear no Antifa shit.
Oh yeah, damn. That's one thing I meant to bring up.
I know, right?
A couple other things I want to bring up real quick.
Fucking do it.
Shout out to Haiti. We can talk about this more on the next episode.
Barbecue.
But the UN just passed some resolution, I think, to send forces to Haiti. So we gotta keep a close eye on Haiti.
Heard about that today.
Shout out to the flotilla that's going to Gaza.
Is that the one that's protected by Italy?
In Spain, I think.
In Spain?
I think sent some ships.
Damn, this is crazy. This is monumental.
Literally today, one of the Israeli pages were tweeting out like some propaganda trying to tie the flotilla to Hamas. So there's a good chance that they're going to attack the flotilla again, which they've already done once. But
that was the point of having these other countries try to escort. Do you think they'll still do it with them there?
It's Israel we're talking about.
Yeah, they will. So they're going to do it. Okay.
So, prayers for them.
Yeah.
Power to them. Hoping they get there. And there was something else I wanted to bring up before we close.
We'll come back to you. Let me vamp for a second.
Right. I did want to bring up, shout out to Gustavo Petro. His visa got revoked for speaking out at the.
Was he the teacher?
No, he's the president of Colombia.
No, what the fuck am I thinking? Wait, what? Tell me what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
He was protesting with the people outside of the UN in New York and was calling for like the UN to do something about Israel.
I saw some headlines about that. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, and then the Trump administration revoked his visa. Motherfuckers.
Yeah, man, this isn't free speech America.
Yeah, so shout out to him. That was dope to see him actually out there with protesters and stuff.
Always love that.
And they're trying to sell TikTok to Israel, basically. So
that's how this is going to be?
Larry Ellison's going to have a controlling stake of it. And he's like, has
But they don't get the algorithm, right?
No. Well, they don't want that. They don't want the algorithm. They want to redo the algorithm,
right,
so that it's more favorable to Israel.
Yeah, and all right wing shit, but specifically Israel.
Yeah, and Bibi Netanyahu was literally in a meeting with a bunch of influencers talking about, this TikTok deal. Hopefully it goes through because it could be very consequential for us. So.
And that's why he had to assassinate Charlie Kirk. And we're going to get into those conspiracy theories in the next episode because there's a lot.
We said about 4 or 5 things we're going to cover in the next episode. So
yeah, I don't know, whatever you want to do. We got options.
All right, but that's all I got. So look out for those things.
Yeah. Y'all be safe out there. Be nice. Help people. Don't be a dick. But also, it's okay to punch Nazis.
That's right.
All right. Peace out.
There's no way to be committed to nonviolence in the middle of the most violent society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are beholden to the interests of monopoly capitalism in this country.
The capitalist European and North American powers have carved out and taken the timber, the flax, the hemp, the cocoa, the rum, the tin, the copper, the iron, the rubber, the bauxite, the slaves, and the cheap labor. They have taken out of these countries. These countries are not underdeveloped, they're overexploited.
Liberals are, at times, allies. At times, they're unreliable allies. So I don't want to just whitewash them. You've got to proceed quite cautiously with liberals.
The man or woman who knows the least about communism is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
What's happening here for the last 4 years? Brutality, humiliation, our basic human rights taken away from us. All of this has to come to an end through talking. For what? We take their offer, put their uniform on. These last 4 years meant nothing. We could do that